YouTube! What is up? You are going to take L's in any hobby. No matter what you are into, eventually, especially in the investing world, you are going to take L's. You are going to take losses. Not everything is going to go your way. There are going to be some things that you're wrong about that go against you, or things that you could not predict happen do end up happening. But more often than not, the bad thing, the worst possible case, that black swan event or that really worst possible thing you imagine, most of the time does not happen. Humans generally, they overestimate the probability that the bad thing will happen because we're so locked into it, we're so afraid of it because we are emotional beings at our core. But if you look historically, almost in all cases, humans do overestimate the bear case in most markets. They still do happen. We still do see financial crashes. We do still see financial black swan events, but they are less probable than humans generally estimate for. So yes, you will take L's. It's inevitable that at some of your deals, they will go against you. Whether it's you're buying a card that you think is going to grade a 10, you're going to make a bunch of money and it comes back an 8 and you take a loss. Or you invest massively into something that you think is going to go up in value, but it doesn't go up in value. It goes down first. Maybe it goes up later, but maybe you sell because you're emotional and you overinvest it. There's a lot of ways that people take L's in this hobby, but when it comes down to it, it's so much better to take losses and get fucked earlier, excuse my language, but I gotta be real, earlier rather than later in your investing career. When your total capital investment, when your total portfolio is smaller, your time to replace your losses is much lower because your portfolio relative to your earnings per hour, selling your time, the most precious thing in the whole world, is lower. If your total portfolio is only $1,000, even if you take a ridiculous 50% loss on your portfolio because a massive ridiculous investment that you're massively invested in, like maybe 100% of your whole portfolio in something, dumps 50%. The point stands that earlier on in your investment career, you need to take bigger risks. It makes way more sense to take big risks and potentially big losses earlier on when your portfolio is small. But also, unfortunately, it does mean that you're not as versed, you're not as well experienced to identify the best investments. But nonetheless, I still think that if you're a person who is new to investment, get prepared to take L's. Take those big risks, take those big swings. Shoot for the stars. Get your portfolio big enough that it can start actually impacting your life from the returns, not only the additional capital that you're investing it into it from whatever earnings you have outside of investing, whether that's, a job or whatever hustles you guys got going on to earn that bread. Let's go, baby. I don't really care. It's cool to hear about side hustles, but nonetheless, this channel is about One Piece cards and investing in general. So listen, right now, there have been some downturns in the market. There have been some prices retracing. But again, the famous words, it's not a loss unless you sell at a loss. But again, if you are overinvested in something and you realize as the prices are dipping that maybe this thing is not an S tier item, you don't actually like it as much as you thought you liked it, you might have fallen for some of the hype in the market, in the run-up, some other creators pushing on you. Maybe you don't personally agree with the thesis behind owning that investable item, whether it's a card or a sealed product. Then yeah, it's not wrong to sell that thing at a loss and rotate that money, rotate that capital into investment that you actually believe in, that you truly do think has more upside. Don't fall into that sunken cost fallacy that so many new investors fall into, where they refuse to sell something at a loss because they believe it will go back up. And generally, yes, if you're investing into sealed One Piece product or top grail cards, it will go back up. Just like any other safe investment, eventually it will go back up if you hold through the hard times. However, we're trying to maximize our return on investment here. We're trying to outperform and make the most money possible. And sometimes the hard decision and accepting that you took a loss, that you made a bad decision, and selling that item of the loss is the best decision. Even though it feels hard, it feels bad, it hurts your soul. I freaking hate selling things at a loss, guys. But you still have to do it as a successful investor. You still have to do it. Because maybe you bought a thing and it dumped down and you realize, you know what? I could sell that thing at a $200 loss, like a booster box you bought at $600, you sell it at $400 because there's another booster box or another thing that you want to buy that you realize when the thing you currently own bounces back up to that $600 entry point, the thing that you could rotate your money into, that could be at $1,000. You could have more than doubled your money and massively outperformed the other thing, that you had that sunken cost fallacy that you refuse to sell at a loss. A great example is One Piece sealed product right now, or One Piece manga cards. Those are down a lot from their high, and a lot of people are fire selling their product right now. Are they going to rotate back into S tier things? Maybe not, because they're uncomfortable. They took a loss and they're avoiding that feeling because they're new investors. So they don't want to reinvest that capital. They don't want to expose themselves to potentially take a loss again. But that is how you get rich. You repeatedly take value bets where the expected value is in your favor. You will inevitably be wrong. It'll go against you. You'll take losses. But as long as the wins are outweighing the losses, your portfolio and your trend is up to the right. You are making money consistently because you continually take positive expected value risks in your favor. You are buying things which the data previously says and which you believe, on average, if you do it enough times, will cause you to win more than you lose. So you cannot be afraid of those losses. Some of the most successful investors in the world, their win rate is barely more than their loss rate. I'm talking people who win 60% of the time and lose 40% of the time, and yet they make millions of dollars with that 10% edge where they are right slightly more than they lose. You don't need to be right all the time. It's okay to be wrong. You will inevitably be wrong. I have been wrong before. I will be wrong again. But you try to refine yourself as your portfolio grows to continually be right slightly more and more and more and more than you are wrong. But when you are early on, you want to take those huge freaking bets where when you are right so freaking hard that you profit more than maybe 10 losses, 20 losses, just from that one massive win. Most investors who have really made it, who have escaped the matrix, they all can think back on one or two or a few very serious, massive wins where they truly freaking believed in that thing and they went hard on it, accepting that they might have been wrong. But if they were right, oh my God, were they gonna print? Were they gonna be right? And they understood that early on is the time to take those big risk bets. One Piece is still so early, guys. It's only 3.5 years, almost 4 years old. Still so early. It is a fantastic time to take a bet on One Piece cards and see if it actually does happen the way I believe it is going to happen. And a lot of you who watch my channel because you're into One Piece believe it'll happen. But maybe this video will get you over that hump where you actually realize, if I'm wrong, that's okay. You'll live to fight another day. You'll get more income. You'll get another job. You'll get another paycheck. But clipping in one paycheck for, like, let's say buying a Grail One Piece item and then accepting that you're going to sit on that thing for years, you're going to be a passive One Piece investor. You understand that if you buy like a Romance Dawn sealed box right now for $2,000 Canadian, whatever it is, that could be a $20,000 item. That is a massive return. 10xing your money. I just want to say that because so many people right now in the markets are seeing losses, they're seeing the value of the things that they previously invested in bleed out, they're getting emotional, they're getting worried. You have to understand, no market goes up to the right only. There are always dips, there are always retracements, but those are the most opportune times to reevaluate what you're holding and try to reposition yourself. So when the next pump comes, which inevitably will be coming, One Piece is not going to zero. It is not going to go down to the freaking depths of hell and just go down only. It will bounce back. It will go back up higher. And in the dip times when people are fire selling, when they're acting emotionally, is the time to lock in, think logically, evaluate every single thing in your portfolio and what you might want to own, what you might not want to own, what you would rather rotate into or acquire more of or dollar cost average or buy next. It's a good time to do that thought experiment. Really review your portfolio and make those moves so that the next time something happens, you are more well positioned to have a positive expected value return, more likely to win than you are to lose. But you're not afraid of losing. You know, you could take 10 bets right now, buy 10 different One Piece things. As long as 6 of those things go up more than the 4 things that you're wrong about go down, you are winning. Obviously, you would love for those 10 things, all 10 things you invest in, to all go to the moon and outperform, but it's not realistic. Generally, in markets, there are very few select things which massively outperform the other things, and your goal as an investor is to rotate your portfolio and ride the train of the winners. Over the last year, over the last 3 years since One Piece has existed, there have been very clear sealed products and very clear singles which have massively outperformed the market. They're things which I refer to as S tier items because they are winning the hardest. So your thing as an investor is simply to do your best to hold as many S tier items in your portfolio as possible so that you are more likely to hold more winners than losers, and in a long enough time frame, massively outperform the market, win to the max, get rich together. You have to believe in something. You have to be willing to take losses to take those W's. If you're afraid of losses, if you're an emotional person who's going to position yourself to avoid the downside, you will never see the upside. If you are selling and you are acting in a way to protect yourself from the losses because you hate the pain of losing money, we all freaking hate the pain. It's been studied in psychology. Humans would rather avoid losing money than potentially make that same amount of money. Humans are risk-averse creatures, which is why most people never win and they never truly escape the matrix. Be ready for L's, accept the L's, take them, learn from them, but do not let them dissuade you from pursuing your goals as an investor and continually taking positive expected value bets day after day, week after week on the goal, on the ride to the moon.